Hi there, I'm Sara Gallegos, and people are always asking me about a quick, simple project for the holidays. It could be for a hostess gift or even something for your own home. And I've got a great project to share with you. It's a cute little Christmas tree inspired napkin. It's very quick and easy to make, and I feel especially honored to share this with you because this is a project that came from Nancy Zieman, one of my sewing heroes. Now, to make this very quick and easy, and you only need a couple of things. We need 2 large circles of fabric, and you want them to have a little bit of contrast because we want to see the difference as we fold the fabric. And the size of the circle that you cut really depends on the size napkin that you want or what you have around that's handy to cut the shape. I happened to find a large poster board sign that was circular, and I just traced right around that on my fabric. You could also use a large serving bowl or a serving dish, whatever size you're looking for your circle. Then you're going to cut around, again, 2 different layers, and next you get to pick your threads. I love projects like this where I can really show off some of my favorite threads in the loopers on my serger. So I chose 2 heavyweight Madeira Katona threads. It's a 4-weight cotton thread, so really, really thick. And you want to pick contrasting colors, so I've done red and green. You want to see that high contrast because that's what kind of gives you a little bit of extra something special on the napkin as you fold it. I've threaded the upper and lower looper of my Imagine Serger with those heavyweight threads. You wouldn't be able to get those threads through the needle. So in the needle, I have just a standard Serger thread. I used a green so that it would blend right in. Nothing really else that you have to create the project. I've got the machine set for a 3-thread overlock wide stitch. So it's just the left needle thread and my 2 loopers. So once you've cut out your 2 circles, you're going to place them right sides together, and then we're going to start stitching. Now, as you stitch, you may find that you want to kind of work around the circle, stopping and lifting the presser foot ever so slightly so that you can angle the fabrics and keep them from puckering. I'm going to stitch so that my fabric is just inside of my knife blade. I'm not really trying to cut a lot off, but I have to have the fabric all the way to the edge of the knife blade so that I don't have any little thread loops hanging off the edges of my napkin. It's really important. So I'm just going to begin stitching. Okay, so here I am. I'm kind of bending a little bit. My fabric is flexing. So I'm going to lift my foot, and that allows me just to lay that fabric down. So once again, I'll stop and just adjust. Now, if you were making this on your Ovation or Triumph serger, you could use the knee lift to easily lift that presser foot. But it works just as well on any of our overlock sergers. There you go, and we'll lift and give it a little twist. And then you're just going to continue all the way around the napkin and overlap your stitching a little bit when you get to where you started, and I'll show you how to hide those thread tails. Okay, so I've gotten to the beginning of my stitching. I'm going to just kind of angle my beginning thread tail down so that the blade will cut those off as I stitch. And then I want to make sure that I overlap my stitching, and there's a very easy way to do this by using the lines on the toe of the presser foot. The presser foot has 2 elevated dash marks on the tip of the toe, and that represents the 2 needles. I have the left needle in, so as I stitch, I want to make sure that my needle stitching, where I've already sewn, lines directly up with that left hash mark on the foot, and that's going to make sure that I overlap my stitching nice and straight. Okay, so I've overlapped a little bit and made sure that everything's nice and secure, and now I'm ready to remove this from the machine, but I need to make sure that I pull some nice long thread tails. So to do that, I'm going to lift the presser foot, make sure that the needle is all the way up out of the fabric, then I'm going to open up the door so that I can access my looper threads. Just need a little bit of slack so that I can pull the project out, so I can pull down on those looper threads, and then I'll do the same with the needle thread. Otherwise, the threads are kind of wrapped around the stitch fingers on the serger, and when you try to pull it out, you won't be able to remove the project because there's just not enough slack to allow you to move the fabric. So now I can pull straight back to release it from the stitch fingers, and then pull it out and around. Need a little more needle thread here, just like that. So I've pulled it out of the machine. I'm going to cut my looper threads first, And my needle thread kind of wraps over on itself a little bit as you stitch. I'm going to cut the first top layer there, and then I can kind of pull it the rest of the way out, leaving myself a nice long tail of needle thread. Now, I need to bury these threads onto one side or the other. I think that the underside is kind of easier because that's where your lower looper thread has already kind of landed. You can see I've stitched really nicely all the way around the edges of my circle. And now I'm going to use either a bodkin or a double-eyed needle, just any sort of a tool that will allow you to feed those threads underneath of your serger stitching. So I'm going to insert the ends. I find it easiest if I kind of fold them over on themselves and then push them right through the eye of my tool here, just like that. And this tool, just like a double-eyed needle, has a flat eye. Instead of being rounded or pointy, it's just perfectly flat. And that allows me to feed it underneath of my stitching. So I'm going to feed it right through like this. And I'll feed that under for, say, an inch or two. Just like that, and then push it in between a couple of your stitches, and then you're going to push the whole thing through. It's a little bit tight at the beginning, but just be careful and gentle with it. You can push it through. There we go. There go my threads. And now I've got my threads. They're buried under my stitching. Grab that guy too. I think it's easiest to pull the tool back out backwards. And now I'm going to just kind of pull down on the stitching a little bit. See how I've kind of gathered it a tiny bit? And then cut my tails. And now when it relaxes again, it just buries all of those tails. So that's a really easy way to hide your thread tails anytime that you're doing an overlock stitch in the round like I am here. So now that we have taken care of all of our thread tails, we're ready to create our little Christmas tree napkin, and it's very, very easy. All you have to do is fold down about a third of your circle, and then you're going to fold one side back and one side forward on your napkin, and just kind of adjust it with your hands until you get that little swirly Christmas tree shape. You can use a cute little hat pin. I've seen some pretty little ones with a star at the top just to give it a little decorative accent. So all it takes is a couple of your favorite holiday fabrics and some matching threads, and you can create a festive set for any table. Happy holidays, and as Nancy would say, bye for now.